We got Yakima County Commissioner Amanda McKinney on the phone with us this morning.
Hello, Amanda.
Good morning, gentlemen. How you doing?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
Just, uplifting everybody. We got to lift each other up.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, you are with us this morning because of something that happened with the Yakima County Commission agenda yesterday. Tell us the story.
Yeah, I saw obviously with Governor Inslee coming out and making it very clear, which again, I know we've talked about it. He's made it clear for several months that he was looking for ways to force every person in Washington to get the COVID vaccine. And I have maintained that I am a supporter of everyone who wishes to receive it, but I will not support or promote forcing the vaccine. And I think most people would generally agree with that.
Yeah.
But here we are. He's mandated it and looking for more ways to mandate it. I saw this occurring. I thought, okay, well, we're not going to do that in Yakima County. I've had people frantically reaching out to me inside of the county for various departments. Of course, I've got people, from first responders to people in the hospital, just teachers. Everyone is in a panic. And the idea that they're going to be forced to choose between providing for their family and their convictions about what they want to put in their body. And so I said, well, we got to do something about it. So I had typed up a proclamation and let the other two commissioners, know. I sent it off to our clerk and said, all right, we are, and it states that we are not going to enforce, support, or promote vaccine mandates, vaccine passports, or mask mandates in Yakima County. And this is not anything. There are a couple other municipalities across the state who, of course, were already working on things like this because it's been very clear what's coming our way. And I think Reichdale, made it clear he's demanded essentially that Inslee move next to teachers and administrators and anyone who's involved with our kiddos, even, the bus driver, all the way down. And, we've seen our school systems on the university level do it. So it's going everywhere. And the impact and the far-reaching impact of what he's done as far as even contractors who work for the state, people who have already signed a contract, a binding contract, and now they're going to have to come back and the state's going to say, well, now your employers need to be, so they're not even state agents. These are people who work for a private contractor who are, doing a job over at WashDOT or something like that.
Right.
And I will say, I love people getting involved with government. It's great. There are people who keep an eye on what's on our agenda. And there was someone who saw this proclamation was on our agenda for review and took issue with it. This is a group who's been very small group that's been very active with the health board, really trying to promote the idea that, mask mandates and all of these things are necessary for the good of the public health, right?
And Amanda,
that
that group is Health First, right?
Correct. Yakima Health First is a small group of folks in Yakima here, and that they are, God bless them, they're passionate. They are very concerned about coronavirus. Everyone has to take the virus seriously, but we also, I've maintained, we have to live our lives.
Yep.
We had Dr. Barg, our new health officer, who said at our health board meeting last week that he expects the coronavirus will be with us for at least 10 to 15 years. Okay, this is not something that we're going to just flip a switch and we're going to be able to, vaccinate 100% of everyone in Washington down to the smallest infant and it's going to go away. So knowing this, we need to learn to live with it. We've got to maintain that choice. And I know that there are cases popping up in different parts of our country where this vaccine is being mandated. And yes, it's a choice. And I do believe that there are going to be cases that will ultimately get through, and we will see where everything falls. But my dad taught me something when I was younger, and it's just because you can doesn't mean you should. So right now, if you think about it, you're a little individual, and you have the prospect of losing your job versus getting a vaccine, putting something in your body that you are not ready to do yet. And we are having the full power of the state come against you as an individual. That's terrible. We should not put our individuals in this position. There are options to provide for testing. There are many viable options that we can do to mitigate the spread, and allowing people, which they've even done in California, if you do not want to get the vaccine, then you're going to have some testing. At least as long as we can figure out, the bulk of us are going to figure out that COVID is something we need to learn to live with.
Yeah.
So that's what we pushed back. That's what the proclamation was about. We're not going to support it, promote it, or enforce any mandates like this, especially vaccine mandates, because what's coming next is our kiddos. And I want to make sure everyone, there's power in numbers, as they always say. And to those people who are really concerned and believe that we should be forcing people to get this vaccine, the workforce between 18 years old and 64 in Yakima County is vaccinated fully on average of 52%.
Wow.
Okay? 52%. That means 48% of the 18 to 64-year-olds in Yakima County have said, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. There are massive numbers of people. This is not something that there's 5% holding out. This is a massive portion of our population. And this is, again, it's like cramming through something through Congress, right? Nobody likes, if you're winning by one vote and there's a tiebreaker, generally we can all say that's partisan, right? That's partisan. Something where we're considering forcing someone to put something in their body, this cannot be this tight. This is tight. And these people need to have a choice. And then I would say further, of the 52% of our workforce who has chosen to vaccinate, I know this because I've heard from you. You do not believe for a second that your family, your friends, your neighbor, your coworker should be forced, literally forced, to vaccinate. You support people's right to choose. And I will tell you, no one is more passionate about this than our medical workers. 40% of the people at Memorial Hospital are not fully vaccinated.
So what
and they are they're choosing between their lives. It's incredible.
And many of them were at the rally on Saturday. Saw a lot of them holding up their signs, being concerned.
It is not conspiracy theorists. It really is frustrating. And believe me, I get all the emails telling me how, I need to do something other than listen to Fox News. And no, what I'm doing is I'm listening to the people. There is a very slim group of people, a slim minority in even our community. It is a minority view that people should be forced to do this. And what I would urge everyone to do is support the people who have said, it's not for me. It's not for me yet. Support promoting ways for them to provide tests, to do the health checks, to be able to say, I don't have a temperature, I haven't been exposed to anyone, I'm good to go. We have got to move beyond the fear that every single person who's unvaccinated is a walking, talking, living, breathing COVID carrier. We just can't presume people are guilty immediately of being a public threat, which is the way our state, and we have to acknowledge this is unique. There's only a handful of states that are taking this much action, and they're Democrat, far left Democratic governors. So it is not mainstream, and even nationally, only 49% nationally believe that workers should be forced, and that highest number, was reserved only for medical workers. Well, and I do believe that if the public was actually educated about natural immunity, because most of those healthcare workers will tell you they had COVID, as you can imagine, and they recovered from COVID, and they have natural immunity. And if we talked about the benefits of natural immunity, I think a lot of people would think differently, but we don't hear about it.
Well, and that brings us back to the proclamation. I mean, do you think that we'll see a proclamation like that in the future?
I hope. It's typed up. It's ready to go. It was pulled from agenda. Commissioner Anderson asked for it to be pulled so that we will not be voting on it. And he indicated that he was not going to be supportive of it. And I'm going to continue to submit it.
All right,
this
Amanda?
is something that we have got to draw a line in the sand.
Can I ask you a couple of procedural questions?
Absolutely.
Is Ron's role, he's the chairman this year, is that how that works? Or
that is correct.
Okay, so, and his authority includes the ability to set the final agenda?
No. The way our commissioners board works is that we are all equal. The chair is, it's kind of like Mayor Byers. It is you're running the meetings, but you do not have any additional authority or weight. And so what we traditionally do is that if any one commissioner decides that they would like to pull something from the agenda and table it, we'll typically honor that. Now, going forward, if something goes up, I would say that Commissioner Lindy similarly said that he would like to. His stance was he wanted to wait, he wanted to look at it, he wanted to read a little bit more. Okay, great. So I'm going to submit it again, and we'll see what happens, because it's a slim majority, right? It's 2-1. But if two commissioners want to have something on the agenda, it's going to be on the agenda, and then it'll go to a vote.
All right. So had LaDon Lindy supported this in its present state, it would have been on the agenda. Ron couldn't arbitrarily keep it off, right?
That's correct.
Procedurally.
Yeah,
all right.
no.
So
Yeah.
now, in terms of bringing an issue to the community's opportunity to discuss it is at the meeting, is it not? Isn't that when you
That is good. Yep.
hear from people?
Yep, that is correct.
So you have to assume then that the commissioners want more time. I mean, first of all, you haven't thought about that. I'm sorry, but you haven't thought about that to this point? I mean, given the world that we're in, you need more time. That seems a little off to me. But so you're going to...
Well, here, I would say this. For commission, it is very common for us when we do our proclamations, we will each provide input. And so this was the first glance. So I take no issue with Commissioner Liddy saying that he would like to take a little bit more time to review it, maybe add his own edits. Absolutely. We have done that before. That is precedent. Sometimes it'll take us several weeks before everyone, hey, I want to dot this I and cross this T. I want to add this sentence over here. What do you think? That kind of thing.
Okay.
And so that is normal. But Commissioner Anderson did indicate that he was not going to support it or any version of it. So that is where, I hope, that's why I will continue. If I don't see anything come back to me as far as, with edits from Commissioner Lindy, then, of course, I'm going to have to say, so where are we at with this? Do I need to submit it again?
So procedurally, can you talk to Lindy about this?
We don't know. We don't carry on conversations.
That's just it. I mean,
Nope.
how... That's I get the rule, but I don't get the rule. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, it's for good reason. It is for good reason. So the way, as you can imagine, so we can't even email each other.
I mean,
We don't. There's a block. We actually enacted a physical block on our system so that we couldn't even email each other.
Oh.
So what we do is that, so in this case, I have a proclamation. I typed it. I send it to the clerk. And the clerk sends it to the other commissioners.
Yeah.
And then, if they wanted to make a change, then they would send it to the clerk, and then the clerk would send it to the other commissioners and say, please see, be attached with edits for your review. And
Gotcha.
so we can't directly work together.
We hear all the time about how inefficient people working in silos are and how it takes so much longer to get things done.
Yeah.
It would be so much better. You can just walk across the hall and just say, hey, Joe, is it this or that? And so, we are honoring and operating within a system that is it's designed to, I guess, to protect us from the worst case scenario so that it can bog us down on the every way case scenarios is how it feels to me.
It is protect. This is why it's important. Because what if you had two commissioners who were constantly, going out and meeting and forming a block and conspiring together behind closed doors, and the public does not get the benefit of knowing, what are they doing to solidify that voting block?
All right, but it's going to show up when they vote. They're going to be seen as voting as a block all the time anyway, right? I mean, the fact that they talk about it isn't going to change the ultimate outcome. If they both feel that way, that's how the vote's going to go.
But I agree. But that's why. But those conversations have to be in public purview.
I know. Okay, Amanda, I appreciate that. I got it. I just got to rail against it. All right. So, what kind of time frame are you on then? When do you consider running this back up the flagpole? How do you gauge when you should have heard from Mr. Lindy or from the secretary by way of Mr. Lindy to know when it's time to go again?
Sure. So we on Thursday, the last one of the last things that happens before staff leaves on Thursday is they will send us our copy of what has been put through to be on agenda for the following Tuesday. And so our Friday morning, we have that link available because our very first meeting on Friday morning is always going through all of those items,
Okay.
what has been proposed. And so I will know whether or not there was, a document that was provided by Commissioner Lindy with any edits.
Okay.
So I will know Friday morning.
Gotcha.
Excellent. All right. Well, then we'll be checking in with you on Friday.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
It'll have to be later in the morning because you're up talking earlier than we meet for that particular meeting. So maybe it'll be a Monday morning quarterback.
There you go. There you go. Excellent. Amanda McKinney, thank you.
Before you go,
so just support each other. Be supportive. There really are more people who believe this should be something that's voluntary than the alternative. And if you know of people and they are concerned, point them in the direction. There are people in the Department of Transportation. All of the police unions are gathering together to meet with the governor. I did it here. Washington State Patrol in Tri-Cities only has 3 troopers vaccinated. And they have all stated that they will not go and get vaccinated. They've already had COVID. Think about this. Our law enforcement, these are not small numbers. These are 40% upwards of folks within different agencies that have chosen not to vaccinate, which makes sense because it carries through with our numbers. About 48% total in Yakima County have chosen not to. So just support each other and find a way. If you're vaccinated, make sure you go on the record. Tell your boss, tell your manager, I want to support the people who are being told that they have to get this vaccine or else they'll lose their job. We got to support each other.